Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. This is Vinod. In this video, I'm going to talk about what is B2E. B2E as in business to employee, right? So this is a strategy of Microsoft Entra ID specifically, and not only Microsoft Entra ID, but basically this could be a part of any identity and access management product, right? So this is going to be a strategy to implement B2E, which is business to employee across the organizations. So now I'm going to give you a definition of it. So definition, it could be simply B2E as in business to employee. And this strategy is going to be used for specifically for employees, those who are working for the company, for the organizations, right? And why this strategy is going to help users or employees across the organizations, and how it can be used as expected, as well as how we can make sure the user experience is improved on different systems, different applications, and different capabilities that we as an organization are providing to end users, right? So the definition is simple, which is B2E is an identity and access management strategy, which is going to enable employees to access corporate systems and resources securely over the internet, as well as over the uh, any service like VPN or any other service that we are allowing users to access, right? And which is going to let users access different systems and improve the user experience while ensuring a strong security controls are in place, right? So that is what the first requirement is for each and every organization without compromising their security, right? And they wanted to make sure the user has appropriate experience as well while using any of the business systems across the organization, right? So there are different key features that I would like to tell you, right? Because that is the driver why we should go through or why we should implement B2E strategy across the organization instead of just make sure give the access to any users to the data, which is a business data, which includes confidential data, private data, and employee personal data, right? And there is another data which is really been used for business purposes only, right? So even that data is also very confidential and critical for the business, and that data should not be put into wrong hands so that people can take unwanted actions, or maybe there are different approaches or different things that end users can do. Like if they are not aware about the data access levels, they would simply uh, maybe share that data, and people from different locations or maybe from different areas, different departments, they can simply share it someone maybe they are not belongs to it, right? So that is when B2E, which is business to employee strategy, is going to be really helpful for the organizations to protect data, user identities, user experience, and everything together, right? So the first key feature is to centralize identity management, right? So this is a part of identity and access management. So definitely it is going to help users as well as to the company, right, to manage the identities and access levels on the data and systems, right? And that is when this is the first key features of the strategy. The second is single sign-on, which enables the employees to sign in once and gain the access on multiple different systems without prompting for authentication and credentials and passwords again and again, right? And that is when this is another employee experience improvement capability of identity access management, which can help users to improve their user experience and improve on productivity as well. The next is, which is third one, which is multi-factor authentication, which enhances the security by requiring employees to authenticate themselves whenever they are accessing any confidential, any system of the business, and make sure they are accessing it and not someone who doesn't or who is not belongs to that system access, right? And that is why multi-factor authentication is something which we should definitely enforce on the user identities, and then user has to authenticate themselves to access those sensitive systems, or it could be employee HR system, it could be financial system, it could be any other system wherever the business data is relying, right? The next is conditional access policy, So it controls the access basis on the different conditions that we are going to put on different systems, different applications, different locations, different devices, and the more important part is risk levels, right? So these are the different components of conditional access policy that we do push together in the bundle of a single conditional access policy, and then it is going to simply uh, put into the devices, applications, and on the location basis. And then it is going to enforce users to make sure that they have appropriate access levels, and then only they are allowed to access those resources, right? So this is the a very important capability of business to E, business to employee, right? And this is the that capability which is really going to help organizations. The next is self-service capabilities, which is allowing users or employees to perform the tasks like resetting their own passwords, requesting access for different applications and IT systems, as well as the business applications. And this is going to help them to uh, reduce the time, and they can simply access or they can simply request the access for those systems. So this is going to be something which is very helpful for employees, and instead of asking each and every task or each and every request to managers or maybe ITs or maybe any different teams who actually owns those systems to get the access, and they don't have to wait. So self-service capabilities are very important, and those are needs to be implemented across the organizations. The next is integration with on-premises systems, right? So on-premises system is something uh, which is similar to on-premises or similar to Entra ID, right? Where we are hosting identities and access managements. So similarly, we have same in the Active Directory, right? And when we integrate Active Directory as well as Entra ID together, right? So both are integrated with each other. That becomes our hybrid identity solutions, right? And in that situation also, we can provide seamless experience for user experience, for improving user experience, and provide the access levels on different systems, different access levels, and different business applications, be it device, be it location specific, be it risk level specific, and everything together. It also going to help us to make sure user has appropriate systems access and they are not doing something which is really not expected at all, right? And that is why, or that is how we can improve on system as well as user experiences. The next capability is PIM, which is Privileged Identity Management, which helps and allows us to manage and monitor elevated access privileges for administrative roles. And also it allows us to protect against insider threats. So what is insider threats is something when someone, or it could be an employee, a manager, or anyone within the company can try to infiltrate or exfiltrate data, which is really confidential, which is really useful for businesses, which is really specific to specific project or client, something, right? And someone is trying to simply leak that data. That means, or they are taking advantages of the permissions that they have on different systems, right? So if they are an administrator on a particular system, that means they have these certain permissions and they can do any unwanted tasks of that systems, maybe delete particular data or deploy a policy which is really going to impact the user experience on different systems, right? So that is why privileged identity management is the capability which is going to give us capability to manage and monitor those elevated access privileges, and then we can monitor and see who is doing what, who has what all permissions, do they really need those permissions or not, and if yes, then we can keep those permissions updated for maybe every fortnight, every month, or maybe every quarter, and then those permissions can be taken away back after some time, because as soon as those permissions are not needed, then we definitely should take it back, right? The next capability is access to third-party applications. So now you might be wondering, what are those third-party applications? There are many in the SaaS environments, or in the SaaS era, as we are into pure cloud environments these days, and we is using different cloud systems like Google Workspace, Zoom, Jira Service. Then there are many like Salesforce, NetSuite. All of these are the different cloud-based SaaS systems, right? And we can integrate those systems with our Entra ID, or maybe it could be in hybrid environment. So we would have local AD, on-premises AD, and then cloud, and we are integrating those together to become a hybrid identity solution, right? And we can also make sure user has access to those systems by integrating that system with our Entra ID, and we can provide them the right set of access levels, right? By using SSO, then employee get the access to the organization's particular systems with like Zoom or Workspace or Jira or Salesforce or NetSuite, right? So definitely there would be different configurations to do it on the different systems, but we can provide the right set of access and users can get the access on those systems together to the on the third-party systems or applications, right? And the next is identity protection, which helps and allows us to detect and remediate, right, identity-based risks using AI and machine learning capabilities. And those are the capabilities which are already built in and baked into the Microsoft Entra ID, as Microsoft is investing a lot of capability and capacity into that, and they are improving on each of those services regularly. So they have put in remediation as well as detection capabilities as a part of identity protection, and it helps us to see the sign-ins from different locations, different countries, and what is the period of that sign-in, and how we can handle those sign-ins and different activities, whether we can be blocking it or we need to provide or push additional re-authentication mechanisms on the different accounts, right? So identity protection is something which is the capability of Microsoft Entra ID, right? Which is going to allow us to detect identity-based risk situations. And if someone is trying to access any identity, anything, then simply we can make sure our identity and access management can detect those and take the appropriate actions like block the identity access or ask users to re-authenticate themselves, so that we are not making sure, or we are taking appropriate actions before anything happens, right? And the next is, last one is group-based access management. So this is something assigning access permissions basis on the employee groups or their respective roles. Maybe someone is from finance team, someone is from HR team, right? They are belongs to different teams and departments. So definitely we should target them or target those users to the different groups and assign them the different systems as per their roles and as per their requirements. And it should not be something each and every person has the same application or same group and same role. So by using group-based access management, we would be able to automatically provide them the group automatic accessibility on different systems and different tools and everything together, right? So these are the 10 different capabilities of business to employee across the organizations which we can deploy, right? Now, I'm going to give you a few real-time examples. What are those ones, so that you will get an idea how we can employ this one, right? So the first is for a retail organization. In the retail organization, where you see a lot of different retail stores or the malls or different locations that a retail company has. For example, the employees working from store or corporate offices as well as from their malls, they have different applications to access their scheduling apps as well as inventory management systems, as well as the communication platforms like Teams, right? Maybe Zoom, or it could be a Google Workspace, right? So to manage those applications, to protect those applications and data together, we can deploy certain different right set of policies. By deploying those policies, we can make sure those systems are secure and user has access to those systems as per their need, and not something like kind of full access or privileged access, right? The second example is for healthcare organizations, where doctors and nurses use their Microsoft Entra ID accounts to access the electronic health records and their systems, and we are enforcing the MFA and role-based access control to authorize their personal data and their systems and sensitive patients information, right? It is something each and every person should have very limited access basis on their roles, and not something like anyone has access to everything, right? So this is not the good approach and ideal way to do it. The third example I would like to give is for the company who develops and creates the softwares for companies, right? They can also use the Entra ID to provide different access levels on different tools like DevOps tools, Azure DevOps or GitHub, and access can be restricted on different network levels as well as on application levels. And then we can enforce the conditional access policy, multi-factor authentication, be it SSO and maybe the user provisioning. So all of those are the different capabilities that we can provide and deploy and make sure we wanted to improve the user experience and productivity, and at the same time considering the security in mind as well. And the last example I would like to give is the faculty and the administrative staff for the college or university, right? Those are the educational institutions. They do have the different educational systems for their students and teachers and college professors, right? They do have learning management systems and they have their own cloud storage. So to manage that, we can deploy PIM, which is privileged identity management. And then we can also make sure they have provided administrative privileges only to those who need it, and only to provide the data level access to the students at limited level and not everything that they need to see, right? So now we have seen the different real-time examples of this, right? And when I walk you through about what is B2E and its key features and key capabilities. Now, there's a last question that is going to come up when we are discussing the B2E strategy across the organizations, right? And that question is something, why is B2E important for the organization or for me and for myself, right? So there are key capabilities which we really need to consider, and then we can go ahead and deploy it, right? So it is going to be depend on the organizations and how organization is looking to implement that strategy. So first is improved productivity. Second is enhanced cyber security or security for the organizations, and streamline IT management. And fourth is compliance. So the first is employees can easily access the tools and systems without multiple logins by deploying the single sign-on, and then provide or push through the multi-factor authentication to make sure they are using the appropriate system with their secure credentials, right? And only they have the access to the right set of systems and applications that they need, right? The next is features like deploying multi-factor authentication and conditional access on the corporate data to protect those systems and data together. Then third is self-service and centralized management to reduce the workload on IT administrators as well as different teams within the organizations. And then the fourth is ensure access policies aligns with the regulations like GDPR and HIPAA, and there are many other compliance frameworks, right? Mostly those are the regulations frameworks where we need to make sure we are compliant when we are into business, right? So yeah, these are the why B2E is important, right? And towards end of this video, I would like to give you a conclusion about this as well, right? So the conclusion is going to be something like why B2E, which is business to employee in the Entra ID context, or in the context of Active Directory, which is going to provide robust, secure, and user-friendly frameworks for managing employees' access to the corporate resources. And by leveraging its features and capabilities, organizations can boost their productivity and ensure compliance and enhance security for their workforces. So these are the different capabilities, different key features, and why B2E is important. So yeah, that is all for this video. Hope you will like it. Please do watch all the videos other which I have talked about: Entra ID, Azure AD, Azure and FinOps. Also, I do talk about Microsoft 365, right? So I have made a different video and a series of different videos. So yeah, please do watch it and do share it with your friends and colleagues and whoever needs to watch and learn something, right? So yeah, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.